On the Newshour debate number 2 tonight, we have the former acting president of Pakistan, Wasim Sajjad. He's making his debut appearance on the Newshour this evening. Twice former acting president of Pakistan. Welcome. Col Shafqat Saeed, with him defense analyst, and Air Vice Marshall Abid Rao, defense analyst from Karachi. From Delhi, we have Maroof Raza, consulting of editor strategic affairs. We have former High Commissioner to Pakistan, one of India's most eminent diplomats, Parthasarathy, and General S Jaswal, former Army Commander, Northern Command. So we have very senior representation on this. And I'd like to start the debate by getting into the debate Parthasarathy along with Wasim Sajjad. And by the way, feel free to come in. It's an open debate. I'd just like to go to our guest from Islamabad first. Mr. Sajjad, you're a very senior man. You've been president of Pakistan, acting president of Pakistan twice. So you should know, what the whole issue of priorities. Now, I'm quite surprised, Mr. Sajjad, that at a time when Nawaz Sharif seriously faces the possibility of a coup, when there is open talk of a coup, yet another military coup in Pakistan, instead of meeting and discussing India's zero tolerance to terror policy, which is our right, he calls a cabinet meeting to discuss that. He should be talking about the possibility of a military coup in Pakistan. Why do you want to meddle in our affairs? You should redirect your focus and focus on why there are banners all over Pakistan urging your army chief, General Rahil Sharif, to take control of the government. That should be your focus. How we deal with terrorists on our soil is our business. I'm sure you understand the seriousness of what I'm saying here, Mr. Sajjad.
Well, let me say first of all that there is no threat of a coup in Pakistan, and the army is performing its very difficult role of defending the borders of Pakistan and also dealing with terrorist activities in some areas bordering Pakistan. So I don't see any possibility or threat of a coup.
Why are there posters all over Pakistan? I am told that across 13 cities there are posters urging General Rahil Sharif to impose martial law.
I have no idea. I have no idea who has put up the posters.
But
it's somebody.
But it's all over. I'll tell you.
The fact is that there is absolutely no threat to Pakistan.
Mr. Sajjad, I'm just saying you should be careful.
Threat of a coup.
Mr. Sajjad, all I'm saying is you should be careful. You know your country's delicate situation, and from Lahore, Karachi, Peshawar, Quetta, Rawalpindi, Faisalabad, Sargodha and Hyderabad.
Sympathizing with Pakistan on coup or democracy.
Mr. Abid Rao, why are you giving touchy? Mr. Abid Rao, let the former president of Pakistan respond.
You are debating a wrong thing. This is not your subject.
I understand.
Mr. Let the former president of Pakistan respond.
I understand.
Yes. Yeah.
He's made it clear to you.
I understand the position. As I said, there is no threat of a coup.
No, I'm saying nobody ever anticipated a coup.
As you were saying, Kashmir is an issue which is unfinished agenda of 1947. There's been suppression and brutalities going in Kashmir over a long time.
Mr. Sajjad.
Thousands of people have died. And I think India is in a state of denial over Kashmir.
That's our internal matter. That's our internal matter.
Understand the situation.
No, that's our internal matter.
Stop violating
that is our internal matter.
Come to the table to discuss this issue.
No. You discuss Balochistan first.
Try and find a solution.
I'll tell you what.
But a state of denial will only continue.
No, I'll tell you, Mr. Sajjad.
So I don't understand why you are in a state of denial.
No, Mr. Sajjad, I'll tell you one thing. Please don't take it personally. I don't mean to, have a personal discussion here. In fact, I began by complimenting you. You're a very senior man. You've been acting president of Pakistan twice. As far as I'm aware, you're the longest serving chairman of the Senate, right? So I know your background, but if you want to talk about denial, one second, with the greatest of respect to you, sir, with the greatest of respect to you, Mr. Sajjad.
You are a very good anchor. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think you should get out of the state of denial.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mr. Sajjad, you're a very good politician. You're a very good politician. You would not have risen to be. You are a very good politician. Mr. Sajjad, as I said,
Mr.
Sajjad, first of all,
thousands of people have died.
Mr. Sajjad,
curfews in Kashmir. Most of your your forces are deployed in Kashmir. So I think the proper, prudent approach would be to come to the table, negotiating table.
No, Mr. Sajjad, I will now have to get responses from our Indian protagonists. But before that, Maroof, may I just, because I always like to return a compliment, because you're the first Pakistani panelist who said I'm a good anchor. I'm a bit shocked and surprised, but I accept the compliment. Now the question is, Mr. Sajjad, you're a very good politician too. But as a good politician, you understand whether it's me or you who are in denial. Because in February 2012, US Congressman, Dana Rohra-Basha introduced a resolution in the US House of Representatives calling upon Pakistan to recognize the Baluch right to self-determination. You want me to remind you how Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani described the move as an attack on the country's sovereignty? Mr. Sajjad, you know my point. You are too afraid to discuss Baluchistan on any international platform, but you bizarrely demand that Kashmir should be discussed. Who is in denial, you or me?
In Balochistan also. You will remember that.
No, who is in denial, you or me?
Remember that.
I think you're in denial, not me.
Said, okay,
I want Maroof, before I come to you.
There have been arrests.
Before I come to you, I want G. Parthasarathy to respond to the. I want G. Parthasarathy to respond. Let's take it
trying to create a terrorist.
Maroof, G. Parthasarathy, please. Maroof, I'm coming to you. G. Parthasarathy.
Your person, Balbush.
Yeah. Partha.
Well, look, I hold Mr. Sajjad in very high respect. He was chairman of the Senate when I was High Commissioner, and I'm sure they will do me the courtesy of listening to me, because I'm going to talk. Arnab, you started about the diplomatic part of it. I don't believe there is going to be a coup, because the army is effectively ruling. When Nawaz Sharif was away, General Rahil Sharif summoned all the ministers, including the defense minister, to the GHQ. So that's the situation, which I'm not saying it's all over the world press. Now, so I won't get into the internal politics, but Pakistan is now has taken this up in the UN Security Council. Let me tell him there'll be no takers. Even China, all-weather friend, when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, says this is an issue to be settled between the two of you. So the Security Council doesn't bother me. But I have been observing developments in Pakistan's other borders. The Iranian president was furious with them after General Rahil Sharif insulted him. 4 Iranian soldiers were killed on the border, the Iranians claim, by Pakistani-based terrorists 6 days ago. President Ashraf Ghani has gone to the NATO and accused them of sponsoring terrorism. Therefore, they are looking at being, all 3 neighbors with whom they share land borders. They have problems, and that is not a very good diplomatic situation to be in. Secondly, I'd like to say that Ashraf Wani was caught carrying an AK-47 rifle. AK-47 rifles don't grow on the trees of India. They're not manufactured in India. The Indian Armed Forces don't use them. We know where they come from. I'll tell you what has really happened. This about 6 or 8 years of insurgency using Lashkar and Jaish has failed. They've tried to get a few young men in southern Kashmir, and that's going to fail, because the poster boy of Facebook is gone. And what happens is, just after he dies, interestingly, very next day, Hafiz Saeed and Salahuddin meet at Muzaffarabad, the capital of the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So the patterns are clear. Diplomatically, I am not worried, because the US Congress is going to debate this.
No, diplomatically, it's not an issue.
And just one last point. One last point. I would like to mention 1.5 lakh Pakistani troops are in their own Northwest Frontier province. That Operation Zarb-e-Azab has resulted in 1.9 million people homeless. I'm quoting Pakistani figures. 170,000 have returned. Many of them have crossed the border into Afghanistan and taken to arms. So they're already having heat. So as far as I'm concerned, India doesn't have to do anything. Mr. Ashraf Ghani, President Rouhani and the Americans are doing the job. Diplomatically, no worries.
Diplomatically, it's not a concern. No, so that's the point.
It's not a concern at all.
No, that's the point.
What I'm saying is, also bear in mind, a Pakistani national of great eminence, Mahmood Khan Achakzai, has questioned the validity of the Durand Line for the first time. and said the Afghan border extends up to Attock.
No, diplomatically.
Into Balochistan.
No, but
I
Mr.
limited that as far as
Parthasarathy,
diplomatic challenges are
Mr. Parthasarathy, surely, Shafqat
No,
Saeed,
don't allege wrong things.
what is wrong in what he has alleged,
He's saying
Shafqat?
something wrong.
What is
No,
factually?
no,
What is? No, what is factually?
You won't let me speak later on.
No, I will let
No,
you.
no, said
bro,
that
please.
Afghan
You corrected me, I listened to you.
Okay, you tell him where he's factually wrong. Okay,
tell me
Shafqat
where I'm
Saeed,
factually wrong.
correct, Mr. Parthasarathy.
Please tell me where I'm factually wrong.
That they belong to KPK.
Who?
Yes, he said only this thing. He never said that the Durand line does not
Sorry,
exist.
he said,
Nobody, none
sorry,
of the
he
Pakistani
didn't use
politicians
the
said
words explicitly, but he said the border of Afghanistan
No, he did not
extends
use this
till
word explicitly.
Attock, which means he does not recognize the Durand line. He may not have explicitly said it, but anyone with an iota of political sense will know what he was saying. And let me tell you this, people from the tribal areas are on the other
you
side.
Make sense. You
I'm just quoting facts.
Version of conclusion, and you say it makes
as a
that
diplomat
sense. No, it's not
who
correct.
has lived 5.5 years in Pakistan, I know not to misquote.
And I'm sorry you
facts.
have not been able
You can
to
find me.
know
You can
Pakistani.
find me wrong.
I'm
on
sorry you wasted your
inference,
time in
but
Pakistan.
you can't find me wrong on fact.
Now this is what you learned in Pakistan, that you go and you fuel the difference and you try to increase the gulf. What good are you
5.5
to this
years I've understood you.
subcontinent?
Don't
If you
forget,
after
I'm
having
not from
stayed in
North India.
Pakistan-
I'm from South India. I have no emotional attachments at all to Pakistan. I treat you like any foreign power.
No, I don't need that
Perhaps
emotional
an
attachment.
adversarial power
But I need
to
a
the foreign
sense
power.
in Indian diplomat that he must understand that what opportunities this border afford us. This is a very good border, and we can generate there are a lot of potentials in this border, and
I
we must
am all
exploit
for
those.
best.
We are so unlucky,
Sir, I am
and
all
that is
for good
because of your
relations
this
with you.
attitude that
I
we
would
have
like
not been
trade.
able to benefit,
I would like
and the
economics.
subcontinent is suffering.
I would like
you see,
Leaders
one
of the
second.
subcontinent being a big
One second,
country
one second. Shafqat
and try
Saeed,
to make this region
Shafqat Saeed,
relative region.
Shafqat Saeed,
What are you talking
Colonel
about?
Saeed,
You are
listen.
only
Colonel
trying
Saeed,
to
I would like, Colonel Shafqat Saeed,
something which is dividing.
you're getting unnecessarily
Please stop
worked up.
something which is converging.
Shafqat Saeed, you're getting unnecessarily worked up. Let me explain to you the circumstances that are in the present.
not worked up.
I will take
Look at
30
your
seconds. I will
Why
take
you
30
try
seconds.
Why you want the
Your
people of
comments are
subcontinent
like
to suffer?
interfering in Pakistan's affairs.
30-40 सेकंड लूंगा आप जरा प्लीज आबिद राव मेरी बात समझिए जनरल जसवाल ने कुछ नहीं बोला है
देखें, आप जो बात कर
मारूफ
रहे
ने
हैं,
कुछ नहीं
इसका
बोला है अभी
नुकसान
तक
बरसगीर के लोगों
आप
का
मेरी
है
बात सुनिए
और
यकीन
बरसगीर
कीजिए
के लोगों के
यकीन
नुकसान में
कीजिए
इंडिया का नुकसान पड़ा है।
यकीन तो कर लीजिए यकीन कीजिए कि मैं जो कह रहा हूं आज आप अगर थोड़ा सा समय देके मेरी बात सुने तो आप समझेंगे कि आपके इंटरेस्ट में कह रहा हूं मैं समझिए मेरी बात पहली बात यह है
आप मेरे interest में कोई बात नहीं कर सकते,
I'm
आप
Maroof
don't
wanted to
think
come in.
that.
Maroof wanted to come. चलिए मैं Maroof wanted to come in. To begin with, I just have a right to my observations. You see, we are a democracy. You may not be, but in a democracy, I have a right to have my opinion. So let me say it. To begin with, you're going and crying to these 5 countries in the UN Security Council is futile because you have zero credibility as a nation. You are a nation that has spent more than half its independent existence under
I'm
the rule
sorry,
of military dictatorships.
You are color blind, or you have got very poor vision that you don't see things in correct perspective.
And with what face
What
are you approaching
talking?
the Security
Pakistan is a very
Council?
important country.
You are about to have
Pakistan
another
is the
coup.
forefront country at this time.
Sir, you are going to have
fighting the
another
war on
coup.
terror. There is no coup.
You are going to have another coup. So you should be careful about that instead of going crying to 5 countries about it. And by the way, nobody takes it seriously.
Arnab have a heart.
See-
This is a small political party which wants that Rahil Sharif should continue. He should accept the extensions that government is offering him,
Right.
which Rahil Sharif has already rejected, and he says he would retire on due date.
Maroof, please.
And you are
Maroof.
making what of it? Look at you.
Maroof on the other side, please. Maroof Raza on whether Pakistan's going
Arnab.
crying to the UN, appealing
Arnab,
to the 5 permanent members of
Arnab.
the UN Security Council will work. Maroof. Yeah, Maroof, go on.
Arnab, I'd request the Pakistani panelists to just give me a minute or two. I just want to make 3 or 4 points, and these are based on historical facts. Point 1, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Point 1. When Colonel Shafqat Saeed was talking about the importance of the Afghan-Pak border, it is very important to Pakistan, but not for reasons that we normally talk about. It is important because there is a massive movement of people and a normal refugee crisis that often builds up because of the porous border. They recently had a huge standoff when they were trying to build border posts and fences in a place called Torkham. And this has led to a lot of bad blood between them and the Afghans, because the reason is that while Pakistan says a lot of refugees come in, what also happens from the border, there is a massive drug trade that happens from the border with which the military benefits. So there is this a recorded fact. The second point I want to bring out, when military coups happen, we often don't get warnings, at least in the case of Pakistan, and they are often welcomed by the people. If the military is already ruling the roost, as is the case right now, there is no need for a coup, because the military is the most powerful political entity in Pakistan. Every Pakistani knows that, and the world knows that. So therefore, Raheel Sharif, my guess is that Raheel Sharif will not take an extension, but he might be the next man to become the president of Pakistan, because he enjoys such popularity. The third point I want to bring out, and I want to bring this out for the notice of the distinguished former president of Pakistan, that, sir, when you talk of UN resolutions and settlement of Kashmir issue with the UN resolution, I want to ask you, sir, with your own experience, which is the route that you wish to follow with India? Do you wish to follow the UN resolution route, or do you wish to follow the Shimla Accord and the Shimla Agreement? If you follow the UN resolution route, let me make it simple for you. It is a three-part resolution where both sides agreed a ceasefire. You had to withdraw completely from the territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and we would hold a plebiscite. You didn't do that, we can't hold a plebiscite. You want to follow the Shimla Agreement route, then it says again and again from column 1 to column 5 in the Shimla Agreement, which I've just been reading just now before the start of the debate, that at all costs both countries will keep peaceful relations with each other. We will respect each other's sovereignty, we will respect each other's territorial integrity, and we will resolve issues by dialogue. When we had dialogue with you, even then you initiated an insurgency. So how is it that now dialogue with you will make things any better? Are you willing to pull back, or are you willing to keep fueling an insurgency which leads to fireworks and the killing of people like Burhan Wani, who by all accords was a recognized terrorist? You may call him a freedom fighter, but I think the world has agreed in the last 10 years that one man's freedom fighter is no more another man's terrorist, and vice versa. A freedom fighter and a terrorist are two different entities.
I'd like Wasim Sajjad to respond, Abid Rao to come in,
so please answer me.
And General Jaswal,
what is it that you want from India? What is it that you want from India? And I will give you answer that what are your options?
Self-defeating. They are self-defeating. They say that the army enjoys the popularity, so they'll take over. And you're talking about
everything is self-defeating.
You should not
whatever we give, Air Marshal Saab, please give whatever options we present to you. My experience has been, whatever options we present to you, you will catch the other end of the stick.
Okay.
For once, come on to a level playing field, and let's find a way forward.
UN resolution, because India has failed the spirit of Shimla Agreement. India since 1970 has failed to hold any meaningful talks and proven to the world that India cannot come to any honorable
Air Marshal, did the Shimla Agreement give you the right? Did the Shimla Agreement give you the right to initiate a proxy war? Did the Shimla Agreement give you the authority to send in terrorists into India? Who failed the Shimla Agreement? Ask yourself. Who initiated an insurgency? Who sent in Mujahideen into Kashmir? Who sent in Kalashnikovs? Who created a sectarian divide in Kashmir? Who created the Wahhabi culture in Kashmir? Did Shimla Agreement talk of that?
What the hell was he doing in Balochistan? You are housing most of our terrorists.
सर ये कमांडर यादव तो पैदा भी नहीं हुआ था जब बलूच इंसर्जेंसी शुरू हो गई थी. Your Baluch insurgency started 60 years ago. Commander Yadav is only 47.
They are not comparable.
You mean to say he started this?
I want to understand.
About Gujarat.
I want to understand. Abid Rao, listen. Abid Rao, General Abid Rao, Air Marshal Abid Rao, Air Marshal, Maroof, 1 minute.
Abid Rao sahab, if you talk of Balochistan, I will tell you such facts that you will be so embarrassed, you will want to digress.
Coin another slogan for yourself.
Maroof, 1 second. Abid Abid Rao सवाल में I want to get Wasim Sajjad and General Jaswal back to the debate so that we can remain focused, and I want to go back to Mr. Parthasarathy as well.
Women. Musharraf condoned rape in Baluchistan. Musharraf killed Bhukti, Nawab Bhukti in Baluchistan, for which he still faces charges.
How many did you kill in Tamil Nadu?
Who has killed all these people? You have the lowest human rights index in Pakistan.
Mr. Parthasarathy will respond to that. Mr. Parthasarathy is responding to Abid Rao. Only both of them, please. Mr. Parthasarathy and Abid Rao, please. Mr. Abid Rao, Mr. Parthasarathy. Mr. Parthasarathy, Maroof, please take a break. 1 second.
Human rights.
Mr. Parthasarathy is saying something. Go on.
Air Marshal, I don't want to interrupt you, but you say how many people you kill in Tamil Nadu. I am from Tamil Nadu. No Tamil Nadu has died to a bullet. Tamilian has died to a bullet.
In Sri Lanka, in Sri Lankan insurgency, what was India's role in that? How many Sikhs have you killed in Khalistan movement? I mean, India should not talk about human rights and decent values. Look what
we are not, you people are doing to people in Kashmir
now.
You are history right.
We are not talking about it. You are talking about it. Not we.
I am telling you, your real face.
You are a sovereign country. I am a sovereign country.
We are a sovereign country. But the similar agreement has been failed by India. Pakistan should just, I think, go away with that and go to the UN.
Yeah, sure.
Or even if UN doesn't respond,
this
movement, I am sure, is homegrown.
Please do go.
And Pakistan should actually help these people gain freedom from India.
Watch it, Partha.
Please go to the UN. You will get a reality check.
My point is...
Please go.
No, UN may not help us. We don't mind that.
Nobody will.
We want this movement must succeed.
You see,
the Kashmiris have suffered a lot. And they must be given total freedom to
and then go to the UN and prepare your arguments well.
Maroof,
because you will get very embarrassed.
Maroof, I want General Jaswal and Wasim Sajjad back on the debate, please.
No more
General Jaswal wanted to make a point to Wasim Sajjad also, please. And remember this. Remember this before General Jaswal comes in. You are approaching the UN when a military coup could be imminent in your hopelessly fragile democracy. When you are going with a begging bowl to the same countries who condemned you when your army took over the reins of power in your country.
Forget about begging bowl. India has been a begging country all its life.
Come on. Let's be reasonable with each other.
Hey, Marshal, can I speak, please?
General Jaswal, please. General Jaswal, yeah.
May I?
Yes, General.
May I request you kindly, may I request you please? May I request you please?
Go on.
Your Excellency, the ex-president of Pakistan, I would like to tell you one thing, that your unfinished agenda was very well described by Maroof Raza. Now, the second part, the third part, the plebiscite part, was to be held after you withdrew from to the initial areas. De facto, the plebiscite has taken place starting from 52. The formulation of the Constituent Assembly, which was chosen by the people, which framed the constitution of J&K. Thereafter, repeated participation in the national election, wherein the members have been going to the parliament. So de facto, the will of the people has been expressed. Now, unveiling the spectrum of truth.
Why are you having thousands of troops
coined
in India, Kashmir? Why is it that thousands of people have died?
Please,
why is it that there is repression in Kashmir? Why is it that there are curfews in Kashmir?
Kindly let me
people
finish.
Are being killed and murdered? If the democratic will has been expressed, why is this unrest in Kashmir? And why are you concerned now that Pakistan is approaching the
I'll tell you, I'm coming to it. If you allow me to speak.
Notice the atrocities being committed.
Will you please kindly allow me to speak?
Okay, and everything is normal in Kashmir.
I will tell you why.
Why are you concerned?
I will tell you the why part of it.
You are in a state of denial.
Please listen to me.
You are in a state of denial.
Unveiling the spectrum of truth. Who coined Optopac?
Kashmir question will come to an end.
Who coined Optopac?
Let me tell you that it will not come to an end. this will continue to
Will you
grow.
please listen
and
to me?
more and more people are becoming martyrs.
The problem
in Kashmir.
is
This
you
is a
people
movement
do
that is
not want to
unending.
listen.
Mr. Sajjad, Mr. Sajjad, Mr. Sajjad, listen. Mr. Sajjad, listen. Mr. Sajjad, listen. The reality is this. Mr. Sajjad, I think you should let General Jaswal complete his point here today. And I just want to add one point. I think all he is saying is be realistic. United States of America on the 12th of July rebuffed you saying it's not your business. France has rebuffed you saying don't waste our time. You went to crying to Russia. They said you don't have substance in your argument. You went, sir, you went, Mr. 1 second. You went to the UK. You went to the UK. You went to the UK and David Cameron told you that you are an exporter of terrorism. This is the kind of insult you faced worldwide.
If Pakistan is bringing,
No, I'm saying I thought you would have a modicum of self-respect.
Why are you concerned?
No, some self-respect.
Happy about it.
Some self-respect.
Why are you concerned?
No, just
the fact is,
maybe you should have some
thousands
self-respect.
of troops have not
Okay, General Jaswal can complete.
I think
General Jaswal complete his point. I think Partha also wants to complete.
That this would come to an end. It has not.
Please.
People have died and thousands
Please,
have died.
I'll request you to
Widows,
kindly give me...
children. These are human rights violations that the world is taking notice of.
Yeah, what about Balochistan? What about Balochistan?
I will answer your queries.
No, what about Balochistan? What about Balochistan? Why do you want the world to remain oblivious to the plight of Baluchis and bring the focus on India's internal issues? Why are you too afraid to talk about scrutiny in your own backyard? Why do you want self-determination for Kashmiris, but you don't offer the same to the Baluchis? Why do you? No, I'm sorry, sir. Now that you're interrupting me, why do you want to go crying to the world about India, but you're up in arms when anyone brings out your own sordid history of abuse in Balochistan. Your sordid history of abuse in Balochistan. Your shame in Balochistan, which you want to keep a secret. Why do you don't want to talk about the human rights violations in Balochistan? And let General Jaswal complete, please. Sir, 1 minute. You demand a plebiscite. Sir, you demand a plebiscite. Sir, 1 second, sir, Mr. Sajjad. You demand a plebiscite in Kashmir. Are you afraid to hear the voice of the people of Gilgit-Baltistan?
Should be an issue.
What about the voice of people in Gilgit-Baltistan?
There is none.
What about the voice of people in Gilgit-Baltistan? What about the rights of people in Gilgit-Baltistan?
Due regards.
You are talking about voices all over
I'm
the world.
talking about Gilgit-Baltistan.
Kashmir, which is pending in the United Nations.
I'm talking about Gilgit-Baltistan. Now, please, sir, please hear General Jaswal. Let him complete his point, sir.
Committed in writing that they would be.
So I think he must be allowed to complete his point. General Jaswal, complete your point.
A respected Prime Minister, leader of your country, the first Prime Minister of India, he committed and he brought the matter to the United Nations. He was the person.
Will you allow someone else to speak, please?
General Jaswal, please.
Will your vocal cords kindly rest at peace for a while?
There will be a plebiscite in Kashmir. Today, in 2016, we are still looking forward to that plebiscite.
I want General Jaswal to be allowed to make his point. Go on, please, General Jaswal.
Because you are responsible. Kindly. Second, kindly please allow me. Second, who unveiled Optopac? Who called terrorists as a strategic critical mass? Using the word excessive force, what is happening in Balochistan? Please search your heart, be truthful. That is the reason there is problem in J&K, because of your strategic agenda of creating unrest. As per Optopac, 1,000 cuts on India. That is the reason. It is not because the people of J&K want something else. On the contrary, we should claim POK from you.
People sit down on the table
allow me to finish.
Sort out these issues.
Will you?
Why are we just
you won't allow
each other, fighting each other?
How can you sort out the issue when you are still
I think the point is,
listen to each other's point of view.
I understand, Mr. Sajjad, your basic contention. No, your basic contention, and I want Mr. Parthasarathy to explain it to you.
I'm sorry to say.
No. General Jaswal, I want Mr. Parthasarathy to explain this in a very rational manner to the former acting president of Pakistan. Please understand, sir, you have your rights to dream.
Roger.
Nobody is going to stop you from dreaming. But over the years, some sense of reason, the condition of your people, of your democracy, of your economy, your bankrupt nature, your low stature in the world, the fact that you get kicked around in whichever country you go to, why are you doing this tamasha? Don't you have any self-respect? You have on two occasions been president of Pakistan in the past. You have absolutely no self-respect. Russia kicks you. UK calls you an exporter of terrorism. The US tells you to get lost. France doesn't give you a hearing. You want to fool the hungry people in your country by saying, Mr. Sajjad, that we are going to the UN? Mr. Parthasarathy is absolutely correct when he tells you, nobody has the time for you anymore. Nobody has the time for you anymore, and let him respond to you. Mr. Parthasarathy, the argument seems to be, sir, don't get angry with me. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not raising my voice. I am asking you today, why when you okay, Partha, tell me, Mr. Parthasarathy, tell me, why are they wasting their time by going to the UN? If it is a foregone conclusion, Mr. Parthasarathy, why are they doing this whole business of going to the UN? What are they aimed at? Parthasarathy.
I will tell you why.
Mr. Parthasarathy.
I think,
why don't we talk as sensible
Sajjad, if you'll permit
and resolve these issues rather than just keep accusing each other
Sajjad,
that you're a terrorist,
if you permit me.
You are, don't have
Mr. Sajjad.
The point is that we are neighbors. And that is a fact of geography we cannot ignore. The fact is that we have problems with each other, and I think we should sit down and try and resolve these problems.
Right.
If countries all over the world can democratically solve those issues.
Sir, listen. I'll one second. Partha, before you come in, I must say this.
Why can't we
Partha, I'll tell you why. Mr. Sajjad, please listen to me. I'll tell you why. Simple answer, and you won't like it, because Kashmir is a purely Indian matter. Pakistan has no business, because Jammu and Kashmir will be.
This is what I'm saying.
Jammu and Kashmir, sir, we are a large, powerful democracy. Sir, we are a large economy, a powerful country. We are capable of taking care of our own interests. Kashmir is an integral part of India, just as Lahore is. I am sure you will continue to hope. I'm sure you will continue to hope that unless you provoke India too much, sir, unless you provoke India too much, you will want even Lahore and Karachi to be an integral part of Pakistan. So let me tell you, at least for now, Lahore is an integral part of Pakistan and Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. And nobody went complaining to the UN when supporters of the murderer Mumtaz Qadri, the killer of Salman Taseer, were protesting in Islamabad, more than 25,000 of them wanting him to be declared a martyr. Nobody went complaining. Nobody went complaining to the United Nations when your security forces clashed with protesters in Karachi over a strike in February this year. Nobody. Sir, listen to me. Nobody went complaining to the United Nations when famous Sufi singer Amjad Sabri was gunned down on the streets of Karachi. Nobody went complaining to the UN when Christians in Lahore took out a protest in May this year. So you know what? Mind your own business. Now Partha is saying something to you. Partha, sir, mind your own business. That's all.
Can't we like sensible,
sir, like sensible people, we are telling you, you don't poke your nose into our affairs. Simple. Now let Partha say something. Please participate in the discussion. Partha.
As I said, I don't buy this business of a coup. There is no need for a coup. But there has been a huge tussle between Nawaz Sharif and Rahil Sharif. I call it the tussles of the Sharifs. And there's no point my Pakistani friends deny it.
There is
it's all over the world.
Other than the one which is
just a minute. Just a minute. Let me complete, sir. I didn't interrupt you. So my point is, right at the present moment, with this internal tussle, each side is trying to be more radical on India than the other. So Mr. Nawaz Sharif, who came here and said very sweet things, goes to the UN. I recognize this a part of Pakistan's internal politics. But if you think the rest of the world is going to listen to Pakistan's internal politics, the answer is no. I stand by it. Not one of the five, including China, will back you. That's the reality. Because even they have said, ever since the visit of Jiang Zemin in 1996, just a minute, please settle it bilaterally. We did discuss it bilaterally between 2004 and 2007,
I just want to take on
when there was no terrorism. In fairness, for 3 years, we discussed it. And there was peace, we were trading across the line of control. Things changed. When General Musharraf left, General Kayani came. This is why the army chief is important. And Mumbai struck us. So right now, you have a government which says, that terrorism
you must be knowing why
and
what
dialogue
happened in
cannot go
Bombay.
hand in hand.
I think you have read that book.
I'm sure if we go back
that whole drama
to the
took place
restraints you
just to
observed
kill
on
Kurkure.
terrorism between 2004-2007, we'll go back to dialogue. But India,
Have you read that book? Who killed Kurkure?
India is not going to yield to pressure of terrorism and all
did
this
you read that
Burhan
book?
Wani and all
Who
these
killed
guys.
Kurkure?
They feel nice as a teenager to be carrying an AK-47 which has come from across the line of control. We don't have it here.
Your beef politics
That's not
gave
gonna
him the
matter
gun.
to India.
Maroof.
No, it was internal. It was poor politics.
Maroof.
It was PDP and
Maroof,
BJP,
Maroof,
poor
Maroof.
politics.
I told you how Burhan Wani came
it was
up
poor handling
because
of
the Lashkar
Kashmir
could no longer
by
fight.
your own government, which is sitting there.
Maroof has the last word on this debate
Everybody
tonight.
is turning against you.
Sir,
Even
this-
your paid puppets are turning
Sir,
against
you are, I'll tell
It
you
is
one
not
thing.
easy. It is
Sir,
not that
sir,
Pakistan is indoctrinated 900,000 plus people into this.
Sir,
9
if I
million
were to
plus
tell you-
people into,
if I were to tell you-
anti-Indian
Yeah, one second. Okay, Shafqat Saeed, last word to Maroof Raza on this debate tonight. I don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get nothing.
To the normal.
You are going to get nothing when you go to the US. You're going to only fool your
Become
people.
leader of the subcontinent.
Maroof.
Know your place.
You're going to fool your
Recognize
people
your
all
place
over
and
again.
take it.
What do you gain by fooling your own
Fall
people?
down by
What do you gain by fooling your own people? Maroof,
arguments
please. Maroof.
and
Maroof.
Kansab, just give me 1 minute. I just want to make 3 quick points. Every time Pakistanis raise the issue of Baluchistan, I tell them to read 2 books by eminent Pakistanis. One by Akbar Ahmed called The Thistle and the Drone. The other by Murtaza Razvi of The Dawn. Both of them have talked in detail about the Baluch issue in chapters there. And there is no mention there whatsoever about India's roles in it. These are Pakistani authors. There is a book on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan by Christopher Snedden, who by your own permission spent 17 years in that country. And he has given para-chapter and verse about the level of freedom and atrocities that happen there in so-called your Azad Kashmir, which is anything but Azad. We are not creating problems there. It is your self-created problem. If you were to look at a plebiscite, that will be also a region that will be brought in. And I wouldn't be surprised if it opts entirely to come to stay with India. It was not for nothing that Musharraf was called the butcher of Baluchistan. And let me tell you, I've been hearing these figures for 25 years. You have started with 200,000. You started with 200,000 Indian troops there. Now you're talking of 900,000. General Jaswal is sitting here, who has been a former Northern Army commander. He will admit by his own account that Northern Army doesn't have more than 330,000 troops, of which only 50% are deployed in the valley. The rest are on the LOC in Kashmir, northern Kashmir, in Siachen, and in
Arnab, give me just 30 seconds.
I want to conclude. Even if I give you 1/3,
I will tell you what I'm talking about.
That figure is the realistic figure.
Just give me 30
maximum
seconds.
Of 300,000. So don't exaggerate, sir. If you give us a realistic assessment,
that you have done much better for the Indian
and my final point,
and
you will never have a settlement over Kashmir.
Let's have
because if Kashmir is settled, Pakistan will fall apart. Arnab, this is my final assessment. You will not have a settlement on Kashmir because without Kashmir, Pakistanis will be left rudderless. They will have nothing to keep the country together. Islam doesn't hold them together. It is anti-Indianism in Kashmir. So they will keep creating problems over Kashmir. You can never resolve the problem.
We are not now banking on UN. We know this movement will bear fruit on its own movement.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If I were to tell you today,
Oh, really?
Pray a little harder, sir.
Why don't you sit on a magic carpet and hope to fly?
Maybe finally the Lord Almighty will listen to you.
No, you sit on a magic carpet and hope to fly. I'm telling you, Abid Rao. Until the magic carpet takes off, let me tell you, Jammu and Kashmir was and will be a part of India. I'll tell you for 1,000 lifetimes.
10 years.
For 1,000 lifetimes and more. Jammu and you should reconcile yourself. You will end up being bitter, sorry, unhappy, because Jammu and Kashmir will be a part of a great country called India. Now you guys can go and hang your coats where you want. I'm sorry for your situation, but that's how it's going to be. I thank you all very much for joining me on debate number 2 on the Newshour tonight. Thank you.